Ever felt like your brain is a tangled ball of yarn? A dizzying maze of information, conflicting theories, and endless possibilities? We live in an age of unprecedented complexity, where every problem seems to have 1,000 convoluted explanations, and every decision feels like a high-stakes gamble.
But what if there was a simple, elegant tool, a mental model designed specifically to cut through that noise, to strip away the unnecessary, reveal the core truth, and guide you towards clarity? Today, we're talking about one of philosophy's sharpest instruments, Occam's razor. At its core, Occam's razor isn't about choosing the easiest path. It's about parsimony. It's the principle that when faced with competing hypotheses, the one that makes the fewest assumptions should be selected. Or, put simply, the simplest explanation is usually the best one. This powerful idea is attributed to William of Ockham, a Franciscan friar and logician who lived in the 14th century. While he never actually uttered the exact phrase Occam's razor, his philosophical writings consistently championed methodological naturalism, arguing against multiplying unnecessary entities to explain phenomena. The razor metaphor is apt. It's a tool for trimming away superfluous elements, for shaving off explanations that rely on too many unsupported assumptions, too many moving parts, or too many what-ifs. It guides us toward elegance and efficiency in our thinking. But what does simplest really mean here? It's not about being simplistic or superficial. It means the explanation that requires the fewest unproven assumptions to hold true. It's about minimizing hypothetical entities, conditions, or causes that aren't supported by evidence. Let's illustrate with a classic, everyday scenario. Imagine you walk into a room, flip the light switch, and nothing happens. The room stays dark. Now, you have to figure out why. Your mind might race. Is it a citywide power outage caused by a squirrel chewing through a transformer? Orchestrated by a secret society of alien saboteurs? Or is it simply that the light bulb has burned out? Occam's razor immediately points to the burned-out bulb. Why? Because that explanation requires only one assumption, that light bulbs eventually fail. The other explanation requires multiple, unsupported assumptions. Squirrels, power grids, aliens, secret societies. You get the idea. The simpler explanation, based on common experience, is far more probable. Now, a critical distinction. Simplest doesn't always mean easiest to understand or implement. Sometimes the truly simplest explanation, the one with the fewest assumptions, might require deep insight to uncover. It's about intellectual parsimony, not intellectual laziness. And remember, Occam's razor is a heuristic, a guide, a rule of thumb, not an inviolable law of nature. It's a pragmatic tool for evaluating competing theories, especially when direct evidence is scarce or ambiguous. It doesn't guarantee truth, but it certainly increases the likelihood of getting closer to it. So, how can we wield this razor in our daily lives? First, in problem solving. When you're debugging code, trying to figure out why your internet isn't working, or even resolving a misunderstanding with a friend, resist the urge to jump to the most dramatic or complicated cause. Your car won't start. Is it a rare electrical fault in the obscure sensor that controls the fuel pump in sub-zero temperatures? Or is it simply that you left the headlights on? Start with the simplest, most common explanations that require the fewest leaps of faith. Check the battery first.
This doesn't mean ignoring complexity when it's warranted, but rather establishing a hierarchy of probability. You systematically eliminate the simplest, most common explanations before diving into the intricate, less likely ones. It's efficient, effective, and often saves a lot of headaches.
Next, decision-making. Imagine you're evaluating two different approaches to a new project or two different solutions to a business problem. Both promise great results, but one involves 10 new software integrations, 3 new team members, and a novel marketing strategy. The other proposes leveraging existing resources with a slight tweak to your current workflow.
Occam's razor encourages you to look closely at the number of assumptions each option requires. Which path relies on fewer unknowns, fewer new variables, fewer things that could go wrong? The one with the fewest assumptions often presents a more robust and predictable outcome, even if it feels less innovative.
And crucially, Occam's razor is your frontline defense against unnecessary complexity, especially when it comes to critical thinking and evaluating information. It's an excellent tool for discerning fact from fiction, especially in the age of rampant misinformation. Consider the vast, intricate web of a typical conspiracy theory. It often requires clandestine groups, massive cover-ups, conveniently destroyed evidence, and perfect synchronization among hundreds of people. Compare that to the simpler explanations: human error, misinterpretation, or even just outright lies by a few individuals. Occam's razor has perhaps shone brightest in the realms of science and philosophy. Think about the historical debate between the Ptolemaic geocentric model of the universe and the Copernican heliocentric model. Ptolemy's Earth-centered view required increasingly complex epicycles, circles within circles, to explain the observed retrograde motion of planets. Copernicus, by simply placing the sun at the centre, elegantly explained the planetary motions with far fewer assumptions and fewer mathematical contortions. His model was simpler, not just in concept, but in its mathematical description and predictive power. Occam's razor would have strongly favoured Copernicus. In modern physics, debates rage between theories like dark matter and dark energy, which posit unseen entities to explain cosmic observations, versus modified gravity theories that suggest we simply don't understand gravity at extreme scales. While both are complex, scientists often lean towards the one that introduces the fewest new types of entities, if evidence can be found. In medicine, there's a well-known adage: when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. If a patient presents with a cough and fever, it's far more likely to be a common cold or flu than a rare, exotic disease. Occam's razor encourages doctors to first explore the most common and probable diagnoses. This mental model isn't just about problem solving. It's about refining our cognitive processes. Our brains, fascinatingly, often have a bias towards complexity. We sometimes think that a more intricate explanation sounds more sophisticated, more profound, or even more intelligent. We might feel that simple answers are too easy, too obvious, or that they diminish the intellectual effort involved. But Occam's razor reminds us that true elegance often lies in simplicity, in explanations that achieve more with less. The razor actively seeks to prune away these unnecessary layers of conjecture, hypothesis, and elaborate reasoning, leaving behind the most parsimonious account. It's a call to intellectual humility, urging us to question whether every additional assumption is truly essential. However, it's crucial to understand the limitations of Occam's razor. It's not a scientific law or a guarantee of truth. The universe isn't always simple, and sometimes the true explanation is complex. For instance, early models of the atom were incredibly simple, a solid sphere. But as evidence accumulated, the true structure revealed itself to be far more intricate, involving electrons, protons, neutrons, and quantum mechanics. The simpler explanation, in that case, was incomplete, not entirely correct. This means we must beware of oversimplification, of using the razor to ignore genuine complexity, or to dismiss inconvenient evidence. Occam's razor should be applied after thorough investigation, not as a shortcut to avoid it. It guides. It doesn't dictate. It helps prioritize, not eliminate. So, how can you integrate Occam's razor into your daily thinking? First, consciously question your assumptions. When faced with a problem or a new piece of information, ask yourself, what assumptions am I making here? What assumptions is this explanation making? Second, actively seek parsimony. Before accepting a complex explanation, challenge yourself to find a simpler one that accounts for all the available evidence. Look for the minimal set of conditions or causes required. Occam's razor is a powerful tool for clarity, for efficiency, and for making better, more grounded decisions in an increasingly noisy world. But is it always the right tool? In fact, in some situations, even for the most brilliant minds, it can be a serious temptation. I wonder, do you know? So, next time you're lost in a labyrinth of complexity, reach for your mental razor. Sharpen your thinking, cut through the clutter, and embrace the elegant power of simplicity. What's the most complex problem you've ever simplified using this principle? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mental models.